AI can be an incredible tool for marketing, saving time, generating ideas, and even writing your content. But here's the caution. If you rely on AI alone, you risk leaving behind something essential, the very thing that makes your brand magnetic and draws your ideal customers to you. In this episode, I'm joined by Beth Hess, who helps entrepreneurs uncover their natural gifts and unique amazingness. Together, we'll reveal what the missing piece is. Join us for this important conversation for your marketing. Welcome to Main Street Success Stories. I'm your host, Jennifer Koch, entrepreneur, business coach, and founder of Next Wave Business Coaching. My first business I opened 2 days before giving birth to my second daughter. But then I grew it for 20 years. I grew it from a local bakery into a national brand and eventually sold it for a profit. I know firsthand how tough the odds can be. Only 1 out of 2 small businesses make it to year 5. That's why I'm passionate about helping entrepreneurs change those statistics through coaching, mentoring, and this podcast, where I share real stories of others, their success, their struggle, their mindset shifts, their fears, and lots of wins along the way. Because none of us are alone in this journey of entrepreneurship, and I want to make sure that you have the support you need. My goal is simple: to inspire you, motivate you, and show you there's a path to building a profitable business. So let's dive into the next episode of Main Street Success Stories. Today's guest, Beth Hess, is the founder of Keys to Your Brand and the voice behind Own Your Amazingness. She's a former journalist turned brand trust consultant. Beth built her business out of what came naturally: curiosity, asking good questions, and telling stories that matter. Today, she helps entrepreneurs and organizations uncover what makes them already amazing and turn that truth into clear, consistent messaging that builds trust with customers, teams, and communities. Her philosophy is simple: you are already amazing. People want what you have. Show them your amazingness. People will buy it. Beth, I love that. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
You know, what was so interesting to me right out of the gates when I was reading your bio is you are a brand trust consultant. And that word trust just jumped off the page to me because we are in a season where we don't trust anything. And I love how you're leaning into that. So tell me a little bit more about what you mean by trust consultant.
Yeah, so as you mentioned, I'm a journalist by trade. So telling stories, asking questions, and playing with words is what I've been doing for a long time. Over the last several years, though, I've just recognized how that trust element between humans, but then especially through the people that we do business with, the people that we give our money to, we're way more interested in, are they being true to what they tell us, or are they saying one thing and doing another? And that old era, I think of the madman era of advertising type of thing, right?
Yeah,
Where
right.
you say anything, or the whole laundry detergent, like whiter, brighter, better. And we'll say anything to get you to buy, only works if you only care about the first sale. But if you want repeat customers, if you want to build loyalties, you have to build brand trust. So you have to do what you say, then say what you do. And the more that we understand about the way the human brain works as well, there's more that we as copywriters and branding experts and marketing folks can tap into. That what does the human brain need to feel safe, to feel like we're reliable, that we can trust the people that we do business with, so that we continue again and again. So my work kind of combines all of those elements, but for sure in an environment where we don't feel like we can trust every photograph we see. We don't trust that the media or the news that we're getting is fact. The trust that we have with the people that we buy from is going to become even more and more important.
You know, that is so interesting how you said the tactics that we grew up watching, and we still see it today in those 30-second quick commercials, because, they got to pack a lot into 30 seconds, right? How you say that works once, you're right. We go try something. But if the trust isn't there, if it's not genuine, if they're not walking the talk, we're not going to come back. And you mentioned how it makes people feel. And I'm reading that more and more in today's marketing as we're out there marketing our businesses. People aren't so much, they're not putting all the weight on how are you going to get me there? It's more about how are you going to make me feel during the process. Have you seen that evolve, or was it always that way? We're now just labeling it. We're getting smarter with how we are analyzing marketing and the words that we're using.
Well, I think that, obviously, of all the technology and things that have shifted over our lifetime, the human brain is the thing that has evolved the least. So I would say humans are probably pretty much the same as we've always been. We're looking for safety. We're looking for belonging. And, and we're looking for significance, things that make us feel important, better, and that kind of thing, right? What we expect from that relationship is what I think has changed. It used to be much more transactional, right? You sell a thing, I'll buy your thing. If I don't like it, whatever. But now there is more of what is the experience of being in this, do I feel about, I don't know why my brain keeps going back to the laundry detergent, brighter, cleaner, whiter.
You must be like me and have a pile of laundry you have to get to after we record this podcast.
Kind of thing. But if you see today's advertising, now it's about this scent will linger with you all day long and people will notice, right? It's not just well, your clothes have to get clean. It's the feeling, the experience, the beyond that. And I would say even a decade or so ago, as brands started to go that way, people are like, "Ooh, that's interesting. That's different. I feel something." But even now, people are skeptical of that, because if you promise an experience, they want an experience. And yeah,
Yeah.
it's all about that belonging and community that everybody is really searching for in new ways.
It's interesting. We talk about that a lot in my programs with my clients is we have to transition from customer service to customer experience. Customer service is the tactical side of it, the transactional side, like you mentioned. We still need that. We still need to take care of people's needs in a timely manner, provide an awesome products or service. But we really need to focus on, like you're saying, the experience, how people feel, the touch points, what they leave with, because then they're going to go tell 10 friends. They're not going to tell 10 friends about your customer service, but they will tell them about the customer experience. So let's unpack this for small business owners. Small business owners are usually a one-man team, or they've got a couple people on staff. They don't have a huge marketing department. They are doing a lot of this grassroots marketing themselves, from writing their own emails to writing their own blogs to creating their video scripts. And you really have a unique way of helping them as a copywriting business. And you call it discovering your amazingness. And it's a true, unique selling proposition.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit more about what you mean by that and how we can lean into that and learn from you to help us in our own businesses.
Right. So if you have had any kind of success at all in your business, if you have made one customer happy, if you've made one sale, you have done something right, right? And usually that, as we've talked about, that's the experience you've created for somebody. What happens for those of us that are so busy doing all the things is we never stop and unpack what did the client experience in that moment? What was it that made them so happy? Why was that important to them? How did I provide that to them? Because you're probably doing it naturally, because you don't think it's a big deal. Because when you say, well, I include a handwritten note, you're like, well, that's just what I do. But that's part of your amazingness, the experience, the feelings, what you provide for your clients is your amazingness. So it's a mix of what your natural talents might be. It includes what you've learned along the way. So any education or certifications or, just things you've practiced for the last 20 years type of thing is part of your amazingness. But it's really about how all those things combine in a way only you can bring that makes your ideal customer enjoy the way you do it and the experience they have with you. That's what I call your amazingness. And honestly, I only recently kind of in the last year or two, I've been running this business now for 5 years. in the last year or two really recognized how much people struggle with seeing their own amazingness.
Absolutely.
And especially when you're busy, right? You're like, I don't have time to sit and think about what made this person happy because now I'm on to the next project or I have this other thing to do. And so my approach is really let's step back. Let's look at this like a journalist would, investigate the facts. One of the key things I do for my clients is I talk to their client. I interview their clients as a third party and I say, you tell me what made this amazing. What do you love about them? And what I find most often, like I said before, is that what the customers say they value most doesn't always match the thing that we are promoting ourselves as. And so that's the gap that I try to bridge.
Oh my gosh, that is brilliant because in my work, not only as being an entrepreneur myself, but with my clients, you are right. We do not see it. And, it's always that old saying, you can't see the forest through the trees. And, I come in and I can see what's going on in business within minutes that somebody who's been in it for 4 or 5 years can't see, just like others can see, we have that advantage of the big picture lens. But you're right. When you're in the moment, you are so focused on what's next. And I've learned with entrepreneurs, we have a hard time going backwards and looking at our wins and looking at our successes and taking the time to ask our clients what's working, what's not working, because we're high achievers. We're driven. We love to learn. We're always going for the next thing. And we're missing a lot by doing that. And I
Mhm.
think there's also that a little bit of imposter syndrome that comes in because a lot of times, we're a humble bunch for the most part, especially women entrepreneurs. And you're right. That little thing that you might be doing in your business that's making all the difference in the world, you just don't think it's a big deal because it comes naturally to you. So I love how you're getting the clients involved. And
Yeah.
I bet that is so eye-opening
Yeah.
and probably shifts the way we market our businesses tremendously.
It really does. Because if you think of like traditional marketing, if you were to go and sit down with a social media marketing expert or somebody write your emails or that type of thing, they're going to ask you, who's your ideal customer? What do they want? What's your USP or unique selling proposition? And if you knew all that, you wouldn't you wouldn't necessarily need all that help. But and I completely believe in the owner being able to define what those things are and say, this is what I want to be known for and all of that. But if you never get the feedback, if your marketing is always this direction of I am this, I am that, I am this, I am that, and there's no, like, my clients tell me that, or a recent conversation with a customer revealed to me that, one, you don't really know. And two, when we go back to this idea of trust, I mean, we know statistics show that people will trust other people, even if they're strangers, more than they trust the brand itself, right? That's why we read all the reviews. That's why we, want to hear from those people. And yet we as business owners, one of the first things I tell people to do, go read your own reviews.
Yes.
And not just to figure out how to market, but if I'm having a day where I feel like, I don't know if I'm making a difference, is any of this going well? Like, should I keep going? I go back and I read my own reviews.
And then do you recommend we take out some of the words in the reviews and use that as part of your marketing?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And this is a good place. I know when previously you and I were talking, we might want to talk a little bit about AI and use of AI. This is one place where AI works really, really well. If you copy all of your reviews, go to your Google page, copy and paste, your Facebook page, whatever, copy and paste all of that into AI. I use Chat GPT, but whatever tool you use, and ask it. It says, pull out the themes of what customers love about me most.
Okay.
What are the 3 to 5 main compliments that I get from my clients, right? That's what AI is exceptionally good at, is that quick research, the analyzing data, connecting the dots between things. And you can also ask it, pull out phrases that support what you're telling me, right? So if it says, well, your customers say that you are friendly and you seem like you always have time for them no matter what else you have going on. right? Like it'll pull out that theme, but then it can give you like exact quotes underneath that to support what it's pulling out. And I'm willing to bet that you'll be surprised by something in there of what your customers love you for that you didn't even recognize was a thing.
And then is it bold enough to use that as a social media post? This is what we're known
Absolutely.
for. This is what differentiates us. Or does that come across as, bragging a little bit? People, especially women entrepreneurs, struggle with that. Like, how much do I put out there as far as my reviews and what people are saying about me versus my program? We're always safe marketing our program or marketing our product. It's tough.
Mm,
It's very vulnerable to market yourself. And I love how you said people trust the people behind the brand, not so much the brand. And I bet if we went back and looked at 10 businesses today, we would see most of their marketing is focused on the brand.
absolutely.
And what I'm
Absolutely.
hearing is maybe we should try and shift that and market about the person behind the brand for a little while. Let yourself be a little vulnerable. Put yourself out there because you are unique and only you can do your business the way you can do your business and
Mhm.
see what happens.
Yeah, and to me, it feels a little less scary instead of stepping out and saying, I know you came from the bakery world, right? So instead of saying, my cupcakes are the absolute best on the planet versus clients repeatedly tell me these are the best cupcakes they've ever had, right? That solves a few problems.
Right.
One takes the I'm not bragging, I'm just reporting
Okay. Back
kind
to your
of,
journalism background. I like it. I
right?
like it.
Right. So that's, a way of maybe softening that part in yourself that says, I shouldn't brag about this. I'm not going to boast, but I can report what other people tell me. Right. Plus, it solves people are going to trust other people more than you
Right.
directly anyway
Mm-hmm.
kind of issue. And then if you work it right, it invites maybe then that's the call to action on that post becomes, tell me what you love most about our cupcakes, or like it invites that conversation between owner and customer.
Which is what
The
social media is supposed to be.
supposed to be a conversation,
We've
right?
lost that somewhere along the way, but that was how it was created and
Right.
intended to be. It also is a credibility marker. When you are showing someone
Absolutely.
else's words, that also gives your brand and you credibility.
Absolutely. But beyond just how you market yourself, that's why I talk about brand trust. And yes, a lot of the copy that I write is around content, website, emails, marketing copy, right? But I believe my real purpose is to remind people who they are. And if I can help you remember and uncover what makes you amazing, that changes a lot more than your marketing copy.
I love where you're going with this.
It should change the way you do business, right? Like if people say, my favorite thing is that every order comes with a handwritten note, then you're like, okay, well, that's priority. I'm never going to stop writing the handwritten notes. That's one of my signature things. I'm going to keep that matters. It helps you in your decision-making process of what's priority and what's not, right? But it also just points you to um the the who you are and your purpose on this planet and why that matters. And when I help people connect those dots of, wait a minute, that thing that I liked to do when I was a kid, and then the thing that I learned about, and then for some reason I'm just so passionate about X, Y, or Z, but I don't know why. All those things are connected.
And what else it does too is it brings clarity to who you are and who your business is. And when you have clarity, that gives you confidence. We always struggle with this, what comes first, the cart or the horse. And a lot of entrepreneurs come to me and they have this lack of confidence. And it's not confidence they're lacking clarity. They're lacking a roadmap because once you have clarity, it turns into action, it turns into a roadmap, and then you start getting confidence because you start getting a few wins or somebody will lean in and ask a few more questions. And we're all in a saturated market. There's I can't think of one business out there that doesn't have thousands of competitors. It just doesn't exist unless you're building something completely brand new. And we have to stand out. And what I'm loving about what you do is you're helping us see how we stand out and how we are unique. And like you call it, your amazingness. So let's dive in a little bit more into AI because AI has become such a tool and I love it. We all
Mhm.
use it.
Yep.
Every business owner I know is using it. And it does help. It helps us write our copy. And so are you seeing that impact the demand for copywriters? But, we've talked a lot about feelings and AI doesn't have feelings.
Right. Right. It's interesting though, uh, and I'll get to the marketing copy part, but one of the things that I have found personally really helpful with AI is that many entrepreneurs, a lot of us are still operating as solopreneurs, right?
Mhm.
Or even if we have a small team, we are in authority over the rest of the team. We can't always just like pick the brains of everybody around us. I use my chat GPT a lot just as a sounding board, just as a help me think through things. I will say, I have this idea. I'm thinking about maybe doing this offer based on what you know of my amazingness, of my brand, because I've fed it all of that stuff. We'll talk about that in a second. Then I can say, well, give me the pros and cons of going this direction. Or would do my people even want is my help me think through this as a prompt I use a lot.
Mhm.
Ask me questions to help me think through this. Is my ideal audience going to sit in on a free 1 hour seminar or do I need to go straight to the master class? Okay. Things like that. Will they even take a quiz that I'm trying to use as a lead magnet? And then it'll say things like, well, it depends. Do your people want this or this? And it can help me sort my thoughts is one of the ways that I use chat. When it comes to marketing, copy, and all that kind of stuff, like any piece of equipment, technology, whatever, ever, data in equals data out, right? So the more that you can teach AI about this is what I've learned about my amazingness. This is what my brand voice sounds like. This is my ideal audience. And then ask it to help you write content and push back on it, right? That's the thing I've found the most. Like, I will tell my chatters, like, "That doesn't sound like me at all. Did you forget
Right.
what I sound like? Like, here's 4 of my blog posts. This is what I sound like. Now try again," kind of thing. And so I find that AI is really helpful as those, like, brand guardrails
Okay.
to help because it does come at it non-emotionally.
Right.
And so it's gonna say, "No, I don't think your clients would like that," or "I don't," right? And here's why. And then you as the owner have to go, "Okay, yeah, either that makes sense or it doesn't understand." But helping you through that thought process of keep me aligned to who I am. You still need somebody to help you probably figure out all of that and to work out and to feed it with the this is everything I know about my brand, but then the help me keep this in the lines and let me know when I'm starting to hit the rumble strips. That's what I think AI is exceptionally good at.
So what caution would you give us if we are doing all our own copywriting? Because we still need the human touch, we still need the feeling, we still need the research. And like you had said, most clients you work with don't take the time to do that properly.
Mm.
What caution would you say to us when we're using AI for our email writing, our blog writing, all our content?
Yeah. And I would say whether it's AI or it's just that little voice in your head that for some reason tells you business writing has to be more buttoned up and professional and make your eighth grade English teacher happy because we do that to ourselves too, right? It's not just AI that does that to us. But to me, it always goes back to is that the way I would say it out loud? Is that the words that would actually come out of my mouth? If I were sitting across the table with a customer, is that the way I would say it? Right? Because, and this goes back to trust, because if the goal is to get somebody sitting across from you virtually or in person, if you don't sound like your content from the beginning, that's an immediate red flag to
Right.
the human brain. So that doesn't mean, and I know some trends have taken this into, so go ahead and use the curse words and do the whatever. And if that's how you talk, that's that's fine.
Yeah, that's your decision, right? It's your brand. Yep.
But it is more of just to me, it's just that gut check of if I read this and then I met me, is this the same person?
Yeah, and I think it's so important. You hear this all the time. Don't copy and paste what it gives you. And I love that approach to say it out loud. Does this sound like me? Does this roll off my tongue very easily? We do have to be careful. My daughter entered her baby into a baby contest for $25,000. It's a cute little picture. Well, the lead picture right now, the contest runs for a couple weeks. We're all looking at it like that has got to be AI generated.
Mhm.
So immediately we've lost trust in this contest. We're wondering what is the behind the scenes? What's the tactic here for this contest? What are they doing? And it's a little scary. And so I think that's just a really good point is to think about how we have to make sure we're protecting ourselves from not falling into the trap because you can crank out a lot of content pretty quickly. But people
Absolutely.
aren't going to read it, aren't going to trust it if you're just taking it verbatim and sticking it out there.
That's right.
So, Beth,
And
sorry, go
I was
ahead.
just gonna say AI generates from what is already out there, right? That's the way it works. It goes out and it searches all the things that are out there and it's going to pull back best practices type of thing. So by default, it is going to sound like everybody else.
Right.
That's the only thing it that's the only data it has until you say, "No, this is me and this is how I do it." So, I recommend if you want your chat to get better, then when you do fix the content, when you're like, I had to make it more human, feed that back into your AI and say, "This is the way I fixed it to make it sound more like me. Remember this for next time."
Good tip. Good tip. Okay, so Beth, when people come to you, tell us who do you love to work with? Who's an ideal client for you?
My favorite people have typically been in business about 3 to 5 years or are going through a pivot in their business, meaning there was 2 business partners and now one of them is leaving, or they've brought on a new partner, or they've added a new product line, or there's some sort of a change and they know why they're excited about it. They know why it's cool, but they just don't know how to talk about it. And what I find, like I say, almost people who feel like they've had accidental success, or they're like, well, I'm getting clients and I'm doing things, but I don't know. Even reading my reviews, I'm not totally sure why people like me. What are they doing? Like, let's get to the bottom of this. Let's figure this out. I love people that are kind of discerning and curious and want to learn more about themselves. I'm a huge junkie for self-development tools and personality tests and all that kind of stuff. So those people who are naturally curious about how things work and kind of want to reverse engineer, why have I had the success that I had and how can I have that going forward? Because what I tell my clients a lot, usually when people work with me, they may not change a lot about what they're actually doing in their business. We're just changing the way they talk about it.
Right. Okay, awesome. And you offer a free 30-minute, I love this, message therapy session.
I do. And I call it message therapy for a reason. I know people have different feelings around the word therapy. I get that. I understand that. I own that. But, when I talk to my own mental health therapist, it's usually just an unpacking of like, this is what's going on. Help me think and work through it type of situation. And so that's what a lot of people come to me for. I've got the sales page, but it doesn't feel quite right. Or the last 3 discovery calls I've been on, people thought I do this, but that's not what I do. So whenever there's this mismatch of the biggest indicators are either you're not getting as many clients as you would like to work with, but even more that they're not the people you most want to work with doing the work that you most want to do, then let's sit down and look at your messaging. What bait are you fishing with?
Right.
And usually there's a reason. You're like, I don't know why I keep getting the wrong people. Well, there's probably a reason in it, and it's probably being more specific and less generic
Right.
is what we're going to find. And 30 minutes to go through that may not sound like a long time, but you'd be surprised how quickly we can maybe pull up just a few reviews, like I said, or if you come to the session and say, hey, I've looked at my reviews, here's a few things that stand out. How could I use this in my messaging? Or one of my favorites is just the let me interview you for a few minutes, and within that 30 minutes we'll be able to start pulling out some of those, what are your elements of amazingness that you may not be aware of, and therefore certainly not talking about.
Awesome. And like we said before, it's hard for us to see that when we're in the trenches. So take
Very.
advantage of Beth's free 30-minute message therapy. I'll put a link in the show notes. Well, Beth, this was really enjoyable and engaging, and I loved just it's a different approach on marketing. We're so familiar with, story brand marketing and your traditional marketing, and I love how you are really tapping into what you call amazingness, but really tapping into what makes us unique. And I believe most of us are not portraying that message enough. So thank you for bringing it to our attention. Hopefully everyone out there listening will be a little more intentional. Go take your Google reviews. That was a great tip. Go take your Google reviews, dump them into AI, and start there, and then sign up for Beth's free 30-minute session. So thanks, Beth, for being on the show today.
Thank you. It's been a good time.
If I had to guess, most of us are not marketing our amazingness, our unique selling proposition, how we make people feel. We are marketing our brand. And if anything you take away from today's episode, I hope that you walk away with the idea to market you. Try that for the next 90 days and see what it can do for you. I loved her suggestion of going to your Google reviews, copying them, using the tool of AI to showcase what people say about you. So I hope this motivates you to do that and maybe change up your marketing just a little bit to attract more people into your world. Before we wrap up, if you're a woman entrepreneur who's building a business and a family at the same time, I want you to know you don't have to do it alone. And you don't have to stay stuck in survival mode. Every day, I help women like you get off the hamster wheel and finally create the kind of business they dreamed of when they first started. Through my coaching program, we focus on the things that truly move the needle, understanding your numbers so you can make smart decisions, refining your messaging so your ideal clients are drawn to you, and shifting your mindset so you can grow with confidence and clarity. The result? A profitable, sustainable business that pays you well and gives you back the freedom you've been craving without the constant hustle and burnout. If you're ready to take the next step, I'd love to invite you into my free webinar, The 3 Keys to a Profitable Business. It's filled with simple, proven strategies that you can start using right away to create the results that you want. You can find the link to save your spot in the show notes below. Thank you so much for tuning in to Main Street Success Stories. Remember, you didn't start your business to live on leftovers. You deserve a business and a life that thrives. Until next time, keep showing up, keep making smart moves, and know that you're closer than you think to building the business that you always wanted.